Hey guys, how's everyone doing? So today we're gonna be doing our preseason checklist on our older body snowmobile. Right now we're gonna shoot a video, the do's and the don'ts, and what you should look for as soon as you get the sled right out of storage. First, we're gonna start on the bottom, and that's your carbides. The things to look for on a carbide are these little bars right here. If these are worn down, this sled only has one because it's mostly a trail sled. But on a sled like my Assault or the boys' RMKs, you'll have two of them, and then they'll run in 3 bars like this. If these bars are still here and they aren't worn flush on this, you still have pretty decent carbides. They'll help you turn on the trails and keep better stability when you're riding. If you don't have good carbides, you'll definitely feel it, because when you go to turn, the sled will want to push the snow forward and you won't want to turn as fast. Well, as long as we got the sled up in the air, we're going to look at the track. Now this track is pretty much in mid shape. All the lugs are still there. There ain't no ripping on the sides of the tracks, because you got to look here on the sides for ripping and frays. And then if you feel that you have that, maybe it should be time to get a new track. Or if you feel like you have rips going crossways on these lugs or in this track right here, then it's also time you should get a new track. Another thing that you have on the skid that touches the track, it's called a slide. On this one, it's white. You'll see right here, and it's got wear marks in it. There's one run here, and it's got the 3 wear marks left. It's probably hard to see on the video, but it's still got all 3 left. If you're down to 1 or 2, it's time to get new slides, because if your slides wear out, you're gonna start rubbing on your skid, and if you start rubbing on your skid, you're gonna wreck your track and your skid. Now we're gonna move to the motor area. Good spark plugs. We'll spin both of these out. So, usually spark plugs are a 7/8 socket. Doesn't take much to break them loose. Shouldn't be over tight. This one's a little black. Got a little bit of carbon deposit. Other than that though, pretty good spark plug on the right cylinder. They're looking about the same. Got the same carbon deposit on it. Just a little wet on this side. Ain't nothing too bad. Still good spark plugs. It doesn't take much, but maybe a quarter turn just to tighten down your spark plugs. Boom. That should be tight. Pop the caps back on. Make sure they're all nice and snug, so you get good spark going down the trail. And that's it. So on these older sleds, when you're looking at the idle screws, it's these 2 screws with the springs on them. You want to make sure they're at the same adjustment on both carbs, because chances are there's probably 2 of them. You just make sure they're both at the same adjustment so your sled will run tip-top shape. Always check the oil. Make sure you always look down there. This one's got about half tank left in it, so probably have to top that off before we get out on the trail. And another one of the most important things you should definitely look at before you start or move the sled for your preseason is check inside your air boxes, because sometimes you will get mice that'll build nests inside there, and then as soon as you start it, it'll suck the nest right into the carbs. Another simple thing that people overlook is just their belts. Make sure the top's good, the bottom's good, all the ridges are there, and then spin your clutch. Make sure all your clutch weights down in them little grooves are good shape and they ain't cracked. We've had buddies that they've cracked on and then their sleds don't run that good anymore. Another simple thing that people really overlook is these bearings inside of these bogey wheels. If you got bad bearings inside of these bogey wheels, the only way to check it is give them a good tug. Make sure they're nice and straight. There ain't too much to check in them. But if you have bad bogey wheels and your bogey goes like this and your track's supposed to be going straight, your track will want to track itself right off your skid, and then you'll blow your track off. So along with our preseason checklist, we're also going to add in a few extra things to look for if you're also buying a used snowmobile. First things you want to look at, front suspension. Making sure the shock bodies are straight, all the A-arms are straight, the U-joints are in good shape. And then you're also going to want to take a look at the belly pan that you have underneath. Make sure there's no holes, make sure it's not cracked, make sure it's nice and smooth, no dents. Because if you have dents or it's cracked under here, shows that that sled's been rode a little bit too hard for you. So after you've done and you've looked at all of the front suspension components on a sled and the belly pan to make sure it's all good, we're gonna move to the back of the sled, which, to give you a good look, you're gonna wanna look at, make sure your rails are nice and straight and they run parallel with the track. Because if these are also dented or cracked, then you're gonna also find out that that sled was rode just a little bit too hard. You're gonna look at your shock in the back. You're gonna look at to make sure all of your track tensions are straight, and then how to make sure you have a tight track. You just have a buddy or somebody lift up on the track, and then you just grab it, give it a good tug. If it doesn't wiggle too bad and it doesn't slap, you're also in good shape. So after you feel confident in the sled that you've picked out, and after you've checked over everything, go ahead, hop on the sled, take it for a good test ride around here, and you'll be on your way. So the things you look for when you go out and have a preseason checklist are also things you should look for when you're buying a used snowmobile. Make sure you subscribe and go check out our Instagram and our TikTok at 715 Boys.